Hi, this is Chad Stallings, Retail Branch Manager in Phoenix, Arizona for USA Mortgage, and today we're going to talk about appraisals. After this video, you should have a good understanding of what an appraisal is, why we need it, the appraisal process, different types of appraisals, and the results that you'll get back. First, let's talk about what is an appraisal and why do we need one? An appraisal is basically an evaluation of your home's value. The reason that we want to have this is twofold. One, the collateral for the loan is the property. So it's important that we know as the lender what the actual value is based on a professional opinion. And two, it's important that you know what the value of your home is so that you understand how we're able to structure your loan. The appraisal process begins once you've signed your initial disclosures that we send you. After those have signed per compliance, we're able to order the appraisal. We'll then order it through an appraisal management company who has a list of approved appraisers that they can use. They will send out the order to those appraisers and one will accept. From there, the appraiser will schedule the appraisal either with you, the homeowner, in the case of a refinance, or the listing agent in the case of a purchase. Once the appraiser goes out to the property, the first thing they're going to do is take pictures of the outside. They'll take a street view, a front view of the home, and they'll take pictures of the backyard, the side of the property, and any other notable amenities that may help them determine the value. From there, they'll go inside the property. They'll take pictures of the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the kitchen, and again, take note of any amenities that may help them understand what the value actually is of the property. From there, they'll measure the property. They want to make sure that they have the correct square footage as compared to what's on the tax records. Sometimes those aren't always the same. From there, they will go back to their office and compile the report. The entire process at the property usually takes anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the size of the property. Once back at the office, they're going to use public record information, the statistics that they got from your property, pictures and the measurements, and they're going to compare them to different homes that have sold in your area. Generally speaking, appraisers will use homes that have sold in the last 6 months and within a mile radius of the subject property. In some cases, they may go outside of that mile radius or have to look at homes that sold longer than 6 months ago. This is typically the case for unique properties. Once they've compiled all that information together, they will come up with a value. And they do this by giving and taking away value from the other properties that they're using as comparables. For example, if one of the properties has 200 more square feet than your property, they may take away from the actual sold value of that property. The idea is to get it down to as close as possible to what the actual value of the subject property is. Once they've completed that, they will send the appraisal to the lender. From there, we will evaluate it. Once we've evaluated it, we will send you a copy. The results that we'll get is the value, the replacement cost, and whether the property is as is or if there's anything that needs to be addressed prior to the closing of the loan. Generally speaking, there are 3 types of appraisals. One for an FHA loan, or the Federal Housing Administration, one for a VA loan, which is a Veterans Administration, and one for a conventional loan, which is a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan. There are also jumbo appraisals as well, but those typically follow the conventional guidelines. With a conventional appraisal, you're basically going to get the process that I described before. The appraisal will go to the house, you'll take pictures of the inside and outside, measure the property and take note of any amenities, and then go back to the office and complete the report. With an FHA and VA loan, there are some added elements. For example, with an FHA loan, the appraiser is not only going to take pictures, measure the property, and take note of amenities, but they will also do a quasi-inspection of the property. This includes turning on the faucets, making sure the AC and heating work, looking under the sink for any leaks, flushing the toilets, things of this nature. This is something that FHA, the Federal Housing Administration, requires to be done when an FHA appraisal is being performed. FHA looks at this as another way to protect you, the borrower, from purchasing a property that may have some internal issues. They do this because a home inspection, while quite common, is not necessarily required. Therefore, FHA wants to make sure that the property is in good working order. A VA appraisal is similar. They will do a quasi-inspection as well of the inside and the outside. This is to protect the veteran who's purchasing the home or refinancing. The same principle applies. The VA wants to protect you, the borrower, from purchasing or refinancing a home where there might be some issues. The same applies for the Veterans Administration. They want to ensure that the property that you're purchasing is devoid of any major issues prior to closing. Once we get the appraisal back, we're going to be looking at a couple different things within the report. The first and foremost is the value. Secondly, we want to know, is the property as is, or is there anything that needs to be addressed prior to closing? An underwriter will want those items taken care of before we're able to close the loan. When it comes to the value, in a purchase scenario, there are three different situations that could arise. One, the property could appraise for the sales price, in which case, as long as the appraisal is as is, there's nothing more that needs to be done, generally speaking. The second is that the appraisal could come in higher than the sales price. In this case, again, nothing needs to be done as long as the property is as is, but you as a borrower now know that you have instant equity in the property, which is a good position to be in. The third option is that the appraisal could come in lower than the sales price. This is where things get a little tricky. We as lenders are only allowed to lend on the lesser of the sales price or appraised value. Therefore, if the appraised value is lower than the sales price, we can only base our loan to value that we're going to give you as a borrower on the appraised value, not the sales price. If the value comes in low in a purchase situation, there are generally three options, depending on the state that you live in. For example, in the state of Arizona, if the appraisal comes in low, you can choose as a buyer to walk away from the transaction. That's written in the contract, and unless noted otherwise, you will get your earnest money back without any recourse. The second option is that you can pay the difference. For example, if the appraisal comes in at 400, but the sales price is 405, you can pay the extra 5,000 at closing in order to make up the difference. Third option is that you can renegotiate with the seller. This is where a good agent will come in handy. They'll be able to talk with the listing agent, let them know that the appraised value is not what we thought the sales price might be, and potentially get them to lower the sales price. Different scenarios are going to vary based on market conditions, but those are the three options that you'll have if the value comes in low. Once we receive the appraisal back, if it's at value, it's in as-is condition, and the appraiser did not note anything that will need to be addressed prior to closing, then the underwriter will generally approve the appraisal and move on. This is part of the process. We're always looking at two items. One, you, the borrower, and your creditworthiness, and two, the collateral or the property. Once we know that the property's value checks out and condition checks out, we'll move on with the rest of your loan. Thank you for watching this video. I hope this helps give you a better understanding of the appraisal process, why it's necessary, the different types, and the results that you can get. If you have any questions on this or anything else mortgage related, feel free to contact me at my email or 602-292-0415. Thank you again, and I hope you have a great day.